Hello and welcome to Why I Love Warhammer. This is the show where I go on a borderline unscripted ramble about something in this hobby that I really love. Today is episode 5 now? Episode 5. This is the Genestealer Cults. An army that I ended up getting partially out of thinking the models look cool, partially out of a gross misunderstanding of the rules. So let's start with the first model from Genestealer Cults that I wanted to acquire, which is this guy, the Calamorph. There's 3 arms, he's got his guns. I hadn't really clocked the Genestealer Cults as a faction properly. I thought, okay, some spin-off of the Tyranids, some Tyranid ally. But then, when they were doing the reveals for the Necrons, they did the reveal for this guy, the Hexmark Destroyer. And even though I only own 1 of him, when 3 is what's competition meta right now for Necrons, I remember the trailer for this guy, and it was Wild West themed, and it was showing different guys, and then they show Billy the Nid. And I was really taken by him. I really want to get a couple of little cowboy hats to put on each of these guys and make little dual dioramas. I just think that'd be really fun to just have as a thing. But really taken by Billy the Nid, and when I did get around to painting him up, it was a challenge because I wasn't really good at doing his eyes. I'm not good at eyes. There were lots of different shades of brown to try and accomplish, and I only owned so many brown paints. But he was I just love the concept behind this duelist and this Genestealer cultist who's just there with 3 guns just ready to go. So I would have potentially just bought him on his own. But then I found other models. The one I loved was the Patriarch. And when I thought about painting up this guy, the thought I had was, well, why do I need to paint him up? And this is one of... I only have 2 kind of sets of models where I've not used 100% Citadel paints. And both of those sets of models are in my Genestealer Cults army. So this Patriarch, I used Citadel for the base, but the actual... and also on this servo skull thing that he's holding. And his tongue and his teeth as well. But for the kind of this blue and this pink, I used nail polish. I went down to my local Boots and tried to explain vaguely what it was I wanted glitter nail polish for. It's in the cabinet. It's just over here. These little metal tubes. Those are the lids for the nail polish, which I used to paint up this guy, which gave this beautiful metallic sheen. It's a different appearance to anyone else who ever runs a Patriarch. And I won't lie, the room smelled phenomenal while I was painting him up. But I thought it was a new technique to try, a new way of painting that I thought would be just really good. And I love how he's doing the thinking meme with this hand. I love the pose, proper like alien xenomorph type pose. I like the kind of the griminess of him standing on this pipe thing. I painted up the Space Marine helmet to be Blood Angels because I've been losing to Blood Angels a lot recently, so I painted that way out of pure salt. But and then lore-wise, I love this guy who's like, he comes down to a planet and he starts converting people into being cultists, and I just loved that concept, and I loved the imagery of it. I did really like the kind of the old version where it's this kind of big fat guy sat in a chair, but I love the monstrous nature of this version of the Patriarch. But in the box where you get the Patriarch, you also get the Primus and the Magos. But in addition, you get these 2 little guys. So one like him, and there's another one. I did his back in the same nail polish as I did the Patriarch. And again, he's got a little Blood Angel helmet. And what I like with these guys, and this sounds petty and weird, is you get a lot of models in 40k which are viewed as like the pets. So the Stormcast Eternals in Age of Sigmar have the Gryph-hounds, the Necrons, they've got their Scarabs. But the thing is that I hate the notion of my models' pets dying, right? I'm a cat owner, I've got 2 cats. And the thought of them having a stat line is something that would make me quite sad. So when you've got little pets like this, which don't have a stat line, they are like a token or a proxy for something else. That I really like. It means I can have my models have a pet, and I don't feel sad when the pet dies, because the pet can't die, it's got no stat line. Another model that does that is the Yvrain model from the Yanari range. It's got a little companion, but that companion doesn't have a stat line, and that just for me personally improves my level of escapism, and it feels more like a game. The other one, I'm just looking over to get the next model I want to talk about. I got this one, the box of 5 Acolyte hybrids, and these guys, I like them more from that lore side, because like the Imperium of Man, right, is not a good place to live. At best you live in an angry world where things are, where you're basically an indentured servant, but hey, you've got breathable air. For the most part, it's going to be pretty miserable, and the best of the best are the Imperial Guard, who are borderline cannon fodder a lot of the time. So the idea of having this kind of ground level resistance, even if they're completely misguided about everything, is something that I really like as a storytelling device. And I love how they've got these rules about like popping up underground and crossfire, and even though they did nerf the rule early on in 10th edition, the idea of these guys coming back and back and back in these unrelenting hordes, I really like. And the fact that they often use like converted mining equipment and stop signs and just any weapons they can get their hands on, because they don't have the bolt guns of the Space Marines. They've got what's around them. And the fact that they're able to convert other, and the fact that you can have Imperial Guard allies, because as though they've been indoctrinated into the cult, is something that I really like as well. And it's cool having like the generations of, okay, so your first generation Genestealer Cultists look like this, and then bit by bit they become more and more alien, and then by the 4th or 5th generation they're just those pure straight Genestealers that recently got the model update. The thing that I really loved about the Genestealer Cults turned out to be factually incorrect, which was relating to the allies. And I thought, okay, so if I've got like a 2,000 point guard army, then I can have 500 points of Tyranids, of Genestealer Cults, and have that be a cohesive army. That's wrong, you can only have 25%. So what I ended up doing was getting 12 Leman Russ tanks, pre-owned off eBay, repainting them, trying to make them bright pink to be like Genestealer Cults. And the idea was that I'd have 2,000 points of Imperial Guard in this armoured company of Leman Russ spam. And when I wanted to play Genestealers specifically, I could just trade out 2 or 3 of these tanks, put in my Genestealer Cultist, and I'd have a Genestealer Cults army. It doesn't work that way. I have about 400-ish points of Genestealer Cults that in a 1,000 point list I can bump up to being about 700-800 points if I really get pedantic about stuff. But I painted up my Leman Russ tanks to be, I'm going to point out this isn't the greatest paint job in the world, and I'm being very kind to myself by saying that, by describing it that way. Here it is. I used an airbrush. I used a pink spray I got off Amazon for the lighter, what is meant to be a lighter pink. And then I used my airbrush to do the darker pink stripes. Again, the Lehman Russ tanks are the only other models I've got where I didn't use Citadel paints for everything. I did use Sigvald Burgundy on the treads. It's not a great painted model, but it does mean I have a full armoured company of these bright pink tanks, which are meant to be for Genestealer Cultists. This one even has the Genestealer Cult symbol on the side. I didn't actually affix that there, that's how the model came, and then I tried my best to strip the existing paint off, but it was a bodge job of what my pink sprays were actually like. But yeah, really kind of, I like Genestealer Cult. I love the Genestealer Cults for the Imperial Guard allying, even though I was misguided about what proportion could be allied in. I love them for the lore, this kind of oppressed underclass that are trying to rise up, even if they're a bit misguided about it. I love them for the aesthetic, be it the cool Wild West one that can have that should be having duels with other models, and the kind of shiny metallic jobs that I was inspired to do with them. And I love them for the escapism. I can have a pet and my pet's not in harm's way. So yeah, that's why I love the Genestealer Cults. I guess if you want to leave a comment down below, either something you love in this hobby, or if you want something more specific, is there anything in Warhammer, be it 40k or Age of Sigmar or Middle Earth or Blood Bowl or whatever, that you really like, but you got at the wrong end of the stick, like me and the points allotted for Imperial Guard as allies in a Genestealer army? And then if you want to do all the standard, the like, subscribe, ring the bell thing, that'd be really great too. And with this being the 5th episode, I'm going to update all the links in the description below to reflect, to kind of get the Twitter page back up and running so that videos can spread there. And yeah, so there'll be Twitter to follow if you wanted to. There's a Patreon as well, where if you wanted to throw some money my way to kind of keep these videos going a bit more, that would be amazing too. Otherwise, yeah, see you next time. And next time I either want to be talking about another Imperial army or a non-40k Warhammer game. We'll see where I go with it. If you have anything you want to see me rave about why I love it, feel free to stick it in the comments below. And I will take a challenge. If you think there's something in this hobby that is hard to love, stick it in the comments below and I'll see if that's something I can talk about why I like it, because there's a lot to love in this hobby. Yeah, and with that, I'll see you all next time.